Now we're going to go through the fitting process. The first thing we want to do, obviously, is measure the circumference of the calf section to determine the proper sizing required for the patient. When we choose, for instance, a size medium leather lacer, with it will come a medium size silicone sleeve. So once we find the right size, we simply slide the silicone system onto the patient. Now keep in mind, for protection, you want to make sure the fibular head section is covered, just in case. And if it's too long at the bottom, you can always fold it a little bit to protect the area which goes against the leather lacer. Once the silicone sleeve is applied down onto the patient's leg, the next step would be to fit the lacer segment onto the patient. Simply by releasing the buckle and removing the fly straps out of the way. And what I recommend is, because there's a lot of Velcro on here, we want to kind of roll it out of the way so it's not very cumbersome during fitting process. Just like that. Making sure the unit grip is facing the proper direction. Simply just focus on applying the lacer onto the patient first. First, you want to make sure you unlock the dial lock by simply turning it counterclockwise. That will loosen up the strings and allow proper fitting adjustment. Then you just want to simply take the buckle, snap it on. We'll just snap it on first like this. Then simply turn it clockwise. It will start to engage the tension of the string. Once you have certain tension, then here's where you want to start. You don't want it too tight. You want to have it so that you can move it around a little bit. Then you want to make sure the lacer itself is below the fibula head. Okay, and that's where you want to start. And then once you find the right position where you feel comfortable with it, simply lock in the dial lock to the point where it's nice and snug. Not too tight for now, but just snug enough that it'll stay on the patient's leg. Once the leather lacer is applied onto the patient, the next step would be to fit the boot base onto the patient. Make sure the patient is sitting comfortably. You want to make sure her knees is bent in 90 degrees for better fitting process. First, you want to remove the foot Velcro straps and get the Velcro hooks out of the way by folding and removing. Open the foot cover. So then now you want to make sure the patient's heel is snug securely into the boot base. Okay, this is where you want to be, making sure that her heel is touching the back of the boot. First, then put the foot cover back on. Now this is an important part. I want to make sure when you align the upright, you want to make sure the upright of the Velcro is out of the way for the dial lock so you can engage easily with your finger for adjustment. Then, once you find the right position, simply remove the bag and just press on the Velcro onto the leather lacer, and that'll engage the attachment. Same on the needle side. Once you feel that the leather lacer is properly attached to the boot base, you want to make sure you focus on taking the slide strap on the back, come around, and snugly attach it around the upright, like so. At this point, you want to feel to make sure it's nice and snug. If you feel like it's still kind of loose, simply adjust a little bit. Put the foot strap back on, not too tight, but just snug enough. Ready? The final portion you want to utilize is what are called the cinching strap. The purpose of the strap is to make sure we can cinch in the two uprights snug against a leather lacer for optimum suspension. So there's a Velcro hook on here, which you can just simply attach in the posterior segment of the leather lacer. One thing to watch out, you want to make sure the position of the strap is not interfering with the dial locks. So simply by looping it, now I'm cinching the upright snug. This again helps promote better adhesion with the base and the lacer. Cinch it nicely. That'll bring the two uprights in together. Now, at this point, you can actually do a little bit more fine tuning if required, utilizing dial lock. Okay, the last step that we do in the fitting of the Zero G 2.0 AFO system is that we want to be able to promote a gap between the bottom of the sole and top of the insole of the boot. By creating that gap, when the patient stands up, you're relieving the pressure applied to the bottom of the sole. That's the idea behind offloading system. So once the patient is nicely fitted and engaged into the AFO system, simply remove the tongue. And at this point, there could be a gap, maybe, and what will happen is that'll create pressure relief. And at this point also, you want to check to make sure the Velcro is not too loose, because now we lost that gap height between the bottom of the foot and top of the insole. And then you want to just adjust a little bit, just not too snug, because you don't want to push down on the foot either. Just double check to make sure it's a little snug. And now, at this point, the patient can stand up and see how the pressure feels. At this point, we could be doing one last check to make sure everything fits snug. If there's still any kind of looseness, you could just simply tighten and adjust until the patient feels comfortable and secure. Okay, here is a simple tip on how to remove the tongue easily, especially for patients with hand dexterity issues. So with every Zero G AFO system, we will provide a very simple poly bag. This is what we recommend that you do. Simply insert the tongue into a poly bag, fold it, and basically insert it so that when the patient themselves have to try to remove the tongue at home when putting the boot back on, it's very easy for the patient to remove because of the poly bag system. Here's a situation where we want to point out that the fit is not comfortable, nor is it proper. So the patient feels pressure in this area. As you can see, the lacer itself is sitting below the top of the upright. And so the top of the upright is kind of creating a pressure at this point, which creates discomfort for the patient. So we want to point out to make sure that you want to make sure the leather lacer itself is always a little bit above the top of the upright to prevent this kind of discomfort from happening. As you can see on this side, it is fitted properly. As you can see, the lacer is just above, or at least covering the top of the upright, and therefore the patient feels no pressure or pain on this side. Sometimes adjusting the lacer itself may not be enough to remove the discomfort because everybody has different shape, and the upright itself comes in a fixed shape. So sometimes there will come a need where you may want to modify the shape of the upright. And it's a very simple process. Let me introduce to you our new tool. It's called bending tube. We simply take this tube and we're going to have to bend it upright here while the patient is still wearing the orthosis. So simply take the top layer of the Velcro out, fold it like this. You want to remove, forcefully kind of get in there and take the bending rod and you want to push it in a little bit. Now from this point on, all you simply do is you bend it. And what that'll do is you have a fulcrum here, and that creates the fixed position, allows the upright and the top of it to be bent a little bit, which will now create a little bit of pressure relief in this area. Now, simply go back, and here we are. As the patient is removing the boot, we have a very simple tip for you. You want to make sure there's enough string loosened up so that there's no tension. After removing the cinch strap, here's a really cool tip we want you to follow. Just move one side of the fly strap and leave the other side as is. By keeping one of the fly straps next to the dial in place as is, it allows the patient to more easily go back into this original position without having the front panel moving in different places. As you can see, by having the fly strap in the same position as before on the side where the dial lock is, it keeps the entire front panel in place.